Welcome and thanks for joining me for the Gut Health Turnaround Series 2.0. 21 ways to heal your gut, reclaim your energy, and look and feel amazing. My name is Leah, Kline, Health and Wholeness Coach, and I will be your host. Today I'm being joined by Rachel Feldman. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk to you about one of my favorite subjects.
Okay, and she's going to be talking about gut health and energy. A very important topic there. By way of background, Rachel Feldman is a health coach, wellness mama, and business coach. Rachel graduated from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition in New York City, Wild Rose Natural College of Healing, and the International School of Detoxification and Natalie Rose Advanced Detoxification Certificate Training. She is also certified by the American Association of Drugless Practitioners and has obtained additional continuing education units from Purchase University and New York, State University of New York. Rachel Feldman teaches health coaches how to create profitable, sustainable businesses that are driven by purpose and heart. She is a business coach for health-focused solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. She helps them create businesses with proven systems she's used for their own thriving practice. These are the tools she sells to health coaches. You can find out more about Rachel Feldman at www.rachelwellness.com and www.healthcoachbiz.rachelwellness.com. So,
it's a long mouthful, right?
Yeah, I know. Get warmed up before I hit that. All right, so to start us off, how did you first really get into nutrition?
I think everyone gets into health and wellness for different reasons. For me, I was always an active kid. I swam competitively from the time I was 3 until 17. But I was what appeared, and this is the story I hear from everyone, healthy, vibrant, but I had allergies, I had tummy aches, and that tummy ache eventually led to going to the doctor, and they were like, you have an ulcer. I was 14. I ate healthy. I didn't grow up on processed foods. And I'm 41. So the days of processed foods back then they weren't, what they are today. That led to then getting asthma at 18 and intubated actually on life support a few times. It was this roller coaster of events. And looking back, again, I always looked fine. It led me to go in and out of doctor's office, specialists, universities, especially when I got into the career, which I fell in love with, which was commercial real estate. It was the beginning height of my career, and everything was like blossoming. And I remember turning to my mom and saying, like, I feel like I'm dying. It was that profound and that clear of a statement. I always had constipation issues. Even as a child, woke up in the middle of the night, moved from my bed to, we had a room called the green room because it had green wallpaper, and I would turn the TV on. So even when I was little, I had sleep issues. And it wasn't attention issues. I had like comprehension issues. I had learning issues. I had dyslexia. I had a variety of different things. And I just thought that was back then stupid. So as I got older, these health issues were compounded and eventually got to a point, that is the short story, eventually got to a point where I really was sick. And I remember getting to the point where you would look at me and I was like as white as this piece of paper. With a really pretty yellow tint. And I couldn't sleep, couldn't go to the bathroom. Really couldn't go to the bathroom. Weeks would go by. And I remember going to the doctors, everything, and they were like, well, we've done an upper and lower GI, we've done this, we've done that. And they didn't really find anything. And eventually, somebody I was actually working for in the beginning of my career said, you know what, I know this chiropractor. He has had a lot of success with people who can't figure out what is going on. Well, I went to him about, $6,000 in tests later. He was like, you have heavy metals at a level I've never seen. You have liver toxicity. You have adrenal fatigue. I mean, the list was so expansive. And I really was baffled. I mean, again, I think being a person who ate healthy, especially because sports were always a huge part of my life, I thought, how did this happen? Like, what is going on? But I always had stomach issues. I didn't understand when I would watch other people and they would eat and I would be like, why do I always get bloated? I thought, maybe this is just me being a girl with a poor relationship with food, but I really never felt well when I ate. I would always say, I actually feel better when I don't eat. And so the long story short, again, is that I ended up leaving that chiropractor's office after the second time that I went back. And he was like, look, we have a lot of work to do. And we're going to do another round of tests. And here is this one line of supplements that I want you to take. And I said, yeah, don't you have a book, or can you educate me, or can you tell me what I can be doing to get myself better or understand, like, why is this happening? He said, nope, this is it. And I said, I don't have the money to pay you for this another round of tests. I left there and drove back into Philadelphia, which is where I'm originally from. And I was just crying. I was just, I felt scared. I felt disempowered. I felt confused. I drove into what is now Whole Foods, which was Fresh Fields at the time. And I walked right in and I said, where's your book section? This is what's going on with me. And I don't know what to do. And this woman was like, here. And she gave me Paul Pitchford's Healing with Whole Foods. And she was like, this is one of the best books. She gave me about another 2 books and she was like, read it. And I didn't leave my house. I became just a sponge going into health food stores, and I would be like, this is what's going on with me. Can you talk to me? And that was really the beginning of me realizing some very fundamental things, which was that my gut from probably preconception was already destroyed. And that my gut was very leaky, which was a term at that time. And that the health issues, the food allergies, the hormonal issues, the anxiety that I had my whole life, even depression on and off, throughout my whole life, came down to one thing, and that these things that were happening, candida or bacteria or heavy metals, and the reason my body couldn't detoxify, all came down to my gut. And so that was really it. And I remember being in an acupuncturist office, and she said to me, you have just immersed yourself in this. Why don't you do this as a profession? I was like, do what? And she said, this journey is you've realized in this journey that there isn't this one answer. You've realized that you have taken so many different parts of this, and you could share this with somebody, you could share this journey with somebody else. And that was the beginning of me saying, okay, now I'm going to be a health coach. And it wasn't until about 6 years later, I think, that I decided to become a health coach. But it was for my own self that I really got deeply involved at another level.
Mm-hmm. And that's a pretty common story. It's like the desperation of our own situation is a huge driving force in getting us to do something we wouldn't normally do, which is actually immerse ourselves in material and books and whatever it takes, to get there. And so obviously you were starting to learn about the gut health from the very beginning, because that was so much a part of, where you were having issues. that, that was kind of ground zero with you.
Well, and I was very fortunate along the way. And I think that, when we are open to other people being there to show us the way, one of the acupuncturists that I had seen who also was giving me Chinese herbs said, and at the time, again, I was just so blessed looking back on my journey. She was like, here, you're pretty much, I was almost at like mono meals, which is, if nobody knows about mono meals, it's almost when you're eating one food so your body can actually digest and assimilate that. She was like, here's a book. This is about rebuilding the immune system, because it isn't just this one thing. I was so and that's where I think that we get so immersed in this world of it's this, it's that. It's like, okay, wait, rebuild the immune system, strengthen the gut, and then all these other things, hormones, thyroid, this, that, energy levels, sleep, it will all start to balance and work because the systems will start to work again. And she handed me the book by Donna Gates, The Bodycology Diet. And I was like, oh my God, here's somebody actually. And I was introduced to fermented foods, and I was introduced to eating in a different way, food combining. I was introduced to principles that I immediately said, this makes sense to me. This actually makes sense, that somebody's not just saying, take away everything. No, it's really about, nourishing and eating a certain way. And through my journey, I realized everyone's got a different way to nourish or to repair the gut. And I think that's why I'm so grateful that you're doing this, because if somebody says, well, is it paleo or is it, SCD or is it FODMAP? It's like, well, take a step back. It may be a little of everything. It depends who you are. And that was more my journey, is I took a little of everything, all the great pioneers out there, and realized that there isn't this one magic bullet book. At least that didn't work for me.
Yeah, and that's so true. Each one of us is unique, and that's a part of the learning journey, is figuring that out. That, one answer, that really works for somebody else may not work for you. And that's not something you're going to know without trying lots of times and doing a lot of different things in the process. And so, yeah, the connection there, kind of with the immune system, is so much of the immune system is in our guts.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that's not working, the immune system's not working, that our body defenses are just blown apart, and that's what causes everything else to go haywire.
Yeah.
And so how can the health of the gut actually affect our energy levels, to get into our topic?
Oh, goodness. This is such a big thing. So always in Chinese medicine, and Ayurvedic's the same, which says, you actually need as much energy to wake up as you do to go to sleep. We never think of it in that way. So if the gut is out of balance, and you need 85% good, healthy bacteria, all those guys, to a 15% not healthy guys. Unfortunately, just to even cover this goes out of balance just from breathing, the lotion you put on, which may have some toxins, the birth control you maybe took once, the antibiotics, the stress, all of that. This balance can get out of control very easily. So how does it affect energy levels? One, if we have bad pathogens, and you might say, well, I eat so clean and I do this. It doesn't matter. There are pathogens everywhere. There are pathogens in the body. So whether they're in the intestines, or there's pathogens in the colon, or it is going to affect the energy levels. So often, even when we eat, say, bread that has yeast, So sometimes somebody will say, well, I'm so tired. We don't often know, is it the bread, or is it the wheat, or is it actually the yeast in there that is robbing your energy? Because that yeast then can feed, especially if there's an imbalance, feed that yeasty kind of state and proliferate, and then all of a sudden lead to a lack of energy. But the problem is when we have imbalances in the gut, one is that we are often tired. We don't have the same methylation happening in our body, which is the many processes that we need to actually convert our food into energy, which is number one. Number two is that if the gut is out of balance, I mean, not only is our immune system affected, but you aren't going to have that same energy that you have to be kind of that energizer bunny. I know the moment that my energy is low, I immediately go right into the refrigerator and I will either double up on a probiotic, because energy low is a few things. You know, if you're craving that, and this is where I look at the gut, if you're craving that constant coffee, that sugar, okay, are the adrenals, which we hear about all the time, are the adrenals weak? Well, the adrenals can get weak from cortisol levels being too high, fight and flight, living in this busy world, but it can also be weak because the gut, again, is out of balance, but it's a whole vicious cycle. If we're really stressed and cortisol levels are really high, then the liver takes the brunt, the gut takes the brunt as well, and the intestinal lining gets inflamed. So if you really start to, yes, take a deep breath a few times a day, even if it's just 30 seconds. But if you really start to nourish your gut, you know, think about it and say, okay, probiotic. I mean, real simple ones, without even getting into like opening a book, just thinking about real simple. Take a probiotic, eat cultured foods. Because the moment that I know I'm craving those foods for energy, I know that my adrenals are being weakened, and they can often be weakened by pathogens, viruses. And think about how often we get a little colder, we feel like, oh, I'm fighting off something. Like just the other day I said, oh, I know I'm fighting off something. I felt like my throat was a little off. Immediately, instead of going, oh, that's fine, I know that the whole system's connected, ear, nose, and throat to gut. So I said, okay, that's it. I'm going to take some probiotics, increase that. I'm going to drink a probiotic-rich drink. I'm going to make sure that I have an extra green drink. I'm going to have some chicken soup. I am going to take care of my gut. And so immediately when that virus started to work its way out, I had more energy. And so I always look at the gut needs to always be honored, because, and the gut and the liver, I mean, go hand in hand, but the gut always needs to be honored. If you're sitting there and saying, oh, well, I'm not taking a probiotic, or I'm not eating cultured foods, and you're having a myriad of health issues, because when we think of energy, you're really thinking about how you're metabolizing your food, how you're assimilating your food. You're thinking about the digestive process. You're not just thinking about, again, going back to the pathogens, thinking about the digestive process. So the food enters, it needs to be metabolized, it needs to be assimilated, and then it needs to be excreted out. So if the digestive system is off and you don't have those good digestive enzymes, you're not going to get the energy from that food. Mm-hmm. So when I think of gut, it's not just the good bacteria in there, it's drinking great drinks like water with, you know, a teaspoon of raw apple cider vinegar in there, or having water with a little ginger, to get those digestive enzymes going naturally, jumpstart that metabolism, because that is going to lead to more energy. Do you agree, Leah?
Yeah. You do have to, you know, remember where it comes from.
Yes.
It's not just the adrenals. The adrenals are the backup.
Mm-hmm.
Really, your body is running without that. I mean, it's ideally.
Yeah, and if it's running on empty, you're going to just crave junk all the time.
Yeah.
So how I always say, sit down and really look. My best advice to anybody been watching this is, if you're sitting there and you're like, I'm exhausted all the time, or I eat and then then I'm tired, or then I'm craving sugar, or then I'm craving salt. Really take what I call food diary, which is documenting what you're eating. Sit there and see what gives you energy. If you just feel like you're zonked all the time and you're like, oh, or you eat and there's that rumbling, or you are not going to the bathroom, or you're having loose stool, or all of those things that happen when our digestive system is out of balance. And again, that's a very broad, huge spectrum.
Yeah.
And digestive system out of balance can also lead to weight gain, can lead to hair falling out, because directly, again, related to thyroid, directly related to adrenals. Then sit down and have that moment where you talk to yourself and say, how important is my health? How important is my immune system? Because looking at what foods you're eating is vital, and looking at, am I getting the good bacteria going into my body on a daily basis? Because if you're not, that is definitely the first place to start if you want to have the energy and not get sick.
Yeah, I know. I've taken probiotics before, when I was trying to fight something off. I don't 100% of the time test on them, but I certainly test on them if there's something going on, and, it's like warfare is happening, and it needs reinforcements. But yeah, that's definitely been helpful, and I've known a lot of people that it's been helpful with as well. Do you recommend, kind of focusing on like helping the adrenals or thyroid, or actually just starting with the gut first?
So, there's so much information out there, and this is where I really feel that it gets confusing for people.
Yeah.
I get emails all the time that say, focus on the thyroid, focus on this. But the new profound work that has come out, and that is really hitting mainstream, which I'm so thankful for, is that it all goes back to the gut. So if you look at the work of Donna Gates, or you look at the work of Chris Kressler, or you look at the work of many of the pioneers in the digestive wellness field, everyone is kind of sending out the same emails or doing the same blogs and webinars, which is really nice. Which is saying, don't just go and support the thyroid. Of course, you need those cofactor minerals.
Yeah.
But if there is an imbalance in the digestive system, unfortunately, and again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, but this is just what has been said and is out there, is that there will be imbalances in the thyroid. There will be some level of fatigue with the adrenals, which is pretty much the mommy to the thyroid. There are going to then be a myriad of other health issues that begin from high blood pressure to low blood pressure, as well as if the digestive system is out of balance. The other thing that happens is that your liver has 500 metabolic processes. If the gut is leaky, what is happening is particles, food particles, toxins, everything is leaking out into your bloodstream. So if you think what leaky gut is, and the way that I love to explain is, think of a window screen, and that's what the intestinal lining should not be. But so leaky gut is really this. You're looking out a window screen out of your intestines, and when you get a histamine reaction, that is it. Some toxin just got leaked out, and your body's trying to protect itself. It's pretty much in fight and flight, and it's like, oh my God, that shouldn't have touched our skin, or oh my God, we shouldn't have eaten that, or the air just blew. And I think when people say like, I'm allergic to everything, it's like, well, that's when we've gotten into such a high histamine state. So the work that is really being, the work that is really being talked about now is everything does come back to the gut. So instead of just sitting there, you want to say, hey, let me not overburden the liver, because what does the liver have to do? It have to come in and saves the day. And then the kidneys have to filter out everything. So how I look at it and how I've always practiced, even in my own life, is okay, work on the gut, because that might be a lot of layers for some people. I had a lot of different health issues. I had every different thing known to man that you could have, from Lyme to H. pylori to Clostridia to, I mean, it was really not fun. Talk about leaky gut going really wrong. And that took me time to rebuild. It wasn't just about this quick fix thing. And I think that's the mentality we have to get out of. So instead of just saying, I'm fixing this component, and if you do that, definitely work with a functional medicine doctor, or definitely work with somebody that can help you to categorize which phase you need to. But at the end of the day, that gut needs to be worked on. The lymphatic system needs to be flushed. The liver needs to be loved. Each organ needs to be supported. But if there is always a leakiness in there, then there is always going to be a round robin and a carousel of issues. And again, that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, registered dietitian. This is just my humble opinion of going down this road myself, having my own family who went down this road, birthing toxic kids, and watching the rebuilding of their digestive system as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically you're focusing on clearing the pathways of elimination.
Always as well. I mean, and the work also, and why I went to so many detox schools, is I used to just be like, probiotic, take. And it's not just that. It's about, is the skin, it's about, the skin is the third kidney, are you able to actually eliminate and remediate? So it's eliminate, but it's also, are you able to rebuild? Are you actually going to the bathroom? Because if you're not going to the bathroom, you're just recirculating toxins. So the gut, and the gut series probably could be a 5-year-long summit that you're doing. Yeah. And of course, we just in 30 minutes just tied this into some very, tight sections. But, if you get anything from this, is that I would say personally, and this is what I do take a probiotic every day. To me, it's like having, either the air conditioning on or the heat. I look at this as something essential. For my immune system, for my vitality, for my energy, and for anyone who knows me, they do actually say to me, oh my God, how do you have so much energy? And I'm like, because I keep my immune system strong. So for me, that works. And for me, it really does work to keep my liver and my digestive enzymes working. And that can be done, again, naturally. Raw apple cider vinegar, bitters, even those great parsley and those bitter herbs, and all of that can be chewed on even, or ginger tea, 30 to 15 minutes before you have a meal. So there are so many things naturally that are in your kitchen that can be consumed to really help you and jumpstart you, because the one thing I hate to do is pay a copay. I really like to stay healthy, stay robust, have a ton of energy. I run a full-time business. I have 2 kids under the age of 9, and life is busy just like everyone else in the world.
Yeah. And obviously, if you can go from the state that you were in when you were younger to where you are now, there is hope. Yeah.
Well, and it was bad. I mean, I kind of didn't cover over, how bad it got, but I mean, put it this way. I have Lyme. I had ulcerative colitis. I had everything where and I went to some great, great doctors, but people were like, I'm stumped. I mean, and not often, even with the best of doctors, there are only so many tests that sometimes can tell you what is going on. We, at the end of the day, have to be really empowered, really knowledgeable, and really, really intuitive when it comes to our body, in the sense that you have to know what is working for you, and you have to have a toolbox in your home and in your back pocket. And for me, if you were to go into my refrigerator, there would be cultured drinks, We have 3 different varieties. There are 2 different varieties of cultured vegetables. We have 4 different probiotics in there. And if we travel with our probiotics. So that to me is my toolbox.
And a lot of that, is stuff that somebody could implement today.
Yes, exactly. Not rocket science.
Yeah, not rocket science, exactly. So that has been such a huge amount of great information. And I'd like you to go ahead and tell our listeners about your free gift for them.
Yeah. So because there's so much information out there, and again, take everything with a grain of salt. Like, take the grain of salt and then throw it over because you don't always know what to believe. And even just like today, some things are going to align with you and some things are not. But I wanted to put out a bundle of informational booklets that help people to understand that detox is not this scary thing. Your body does it daily, every day. Yeah. We think as a culture like that detox is really scary, but what you're doing is you're helping your body to eliminate. It's really it. To eliminate, to prevent sickness, to keep you energized, to keep you laughing more, all of that. So I have a free bundle. It's called The Modern Person's Guide to Healthy Detox. There are, different ebooks in there. So that is for you to download. And yes, if you want to find out more about my work or what I do, you can find me at www.rachelswellness.com. Same thing on Facebook, same thing on Instagram, all that stuff. And I have recipes. It varies. I mean, these days I do work more with health professionals because there is a lot of sickness in this world. And I feel like the more that I teach other coaches to build amazing businesses and help people, then we can really have some change. And my mission has always been that I want to have a really healthy world for my children to grow up in.
That's a great goal. The website for that is long. I will go ahead and read it to you once. We will have it on the speaker page, but just in case you don't have access to the speaker page, I will give it to you. It's healthcoachbiz.rachelwellness.com /the-persons-detox-healthy-bundle.
I'll send you a bit.ly for that or something. That is way too long. But if it gets lost or if you have problems downloading, seriously, shoot me a message through Rachel's Wellness and say, oh my God, I was listening to Leah and I couldn't get that. So I'll keep it real simple for you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rachel, for joining me today. It's been fun.
It was awesome. Thank you, guys, and keep that belly healthy.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. Come back tomorrow for more of the Gut Health Turnaround series.